Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's time to look at the stories that have made it to the front pages of our national dailies this morning. And joining us to review the papers is Chris Kende Wandu, is the Executive Editor, CKN News. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
All right, so this morning we'll begin with The Punch. Now, The Punch leads with telecom tariff hike. NLC holds protest as federal government plans review panel. The writer here says Labour leader Ajero insists committee's report will determine Congress' next step. So Congress is a next step. What do you think this next step would be? Because as of right now, it's 50% tariff hike that we're talking about. The increase is 50%, even though that has not been increased in 12 years or almost 13 years. But right now, the NLC has halted the protest that we thought was going to happen and was probably going to lead to maybe a 10% maximum. But at this point, we don't know. What is your next step? What is something that you're hoping to see with this?
Well, the basic part is that the NLC has waded in. The question we need to ask ourselves is that, is it necessary for the telecom companies to increase their tariff? If you ask me, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Because for 12 years, if you say for 12 years, an organization has not been able to increase their tariff or price in this current Nigeria economy, then we know that the company is in deep a problem, and if nothing is done to be able to salvage that, they'll go out of the station, and that would be that the consequences would be very, 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 very difficult for an economy like ours. We know the role that telecom companies play in the economy of Nigeria. So definitely, I am for tariff increase. In the manner of the percentage that is being discussed now. Initially, the telecoms or telecommunication companies proposed a 100% increase. The NCC, the regulatory body, is with them after several discussions, arrived at 50%. The problem I'm having here, I'm seeing here, is that probably the NCC did not carry the majority of the stakeholders along in determining this price. But when you look at this, you ask yourself, who the NNPC consult when they increase the prices of petroleum products? That is something we should be asking ourselves. It is this same NLC that stood alone to try to give us a resemblance of negotiation with the federal government when the increment started after this government came into play. From initial, how much was I've even lost count how much it was petroleum products pre 29th May 2023. From there, we have over 500 increments in the price of petroleum products. Ask yourself also, what did this same NLC, what did they do? When Nigerians were crying over the increment of electricity tariff, and the latest one coming is that there's also going to be another electricity tariff, although we don't know the percentage. The government have, the regulatory body has the 65% increment to be proposed. But what they've not denied is the fact that electricity tariff will be increased. So, what have the NNPC, I continue to say NNPC, what has the NLC done? So, if you keep quiet and couldn't do anything when the petroleum products were increased, when the electricity will be increased, what do you expect the telecom companies to do, the telecommunication companies to do? And if these telecommunication companies fold up, NLC will be the first to cry out that their members are being laid off. So that was reasonable. And I hope that in the next few days, a more reasonable tariff structure will come in place. But that these guys will not increase, then we're going to have self. Then the final leg to it is that I hope with this increment, we will see some level of improvement in the services of this companies as well, because of late, I've not been totally satisfied with the kind of services that
network hasn't been great.
And that in itself is a problem.
Yeah, well, we're warned that there will be a shedding if the tariff is not increased. So they started doing this maybe from December even, and when we entered January, it got worse. And some people believe that this is just to warn everybody that you have to allow us to increase this, otherwise it will continue this way. It's a strategy. 100% increase even is a strategy, a bargaining strategy for the telecoms and all that. But we are also worried about electricity. You've mentioned it in passing. And the story on the Punch newspaper and another one on the Guardian newspaper, let's tie them together. On the Punch, we have that the 200 billion naira monthly electricity subsidy benefits rich Nigerians. That's according to Tinubu's aide. And that's coming at the same time where electricity subsidy may hit 2.4 trillion this year, according to the minister. That's what he has said, that electricity subsidy might hit 2.4 trillion this year. So the question, if we combine this together, is who is benefiting from this subsidy? Is it Nigerians, or is just money that we're just hearing? Subsidy in electricity when we are paying this high, and we have segregation and a caste system where we have band A, band B, band, and rubber band for some of us who don't have band.
And banditry for some of them.
I knew you would have that attack.
Where did that come from?
But that's how it is. That's the reality on the ground now. Subsidy is going to 2.4 billion.
Sincerely, I don't believe them. Leave all these people. For goodness sake, let them bring the proof to show that they are paying such subsidy on electricity. For goodness sake, and when you're on band A, the average cost now is about 209, but they have about 209 to 1 kilobyte or whatever they call it. It's about 209 and so there are some households that are just one room apartment. They are spending as much about 60 to 70,000 naira per month on electricity. One room apartment. They are not using anything. They've needed the advice of the minister not to be putting on their air conditioner, and they're also switching off their deep freezers. So the coming out to say that there is a, let me even ask, what is even wrong in pesos? If there is a need for Nigerians to pay some level of subsidy on some of these things, why can't we do that? What do Nigerians gain from their government as citizens? It is not all over the world. The United States, the United Kingdom, the Asian countries and major countries of the world, they enjoy subsidy, not only on electricity, on energy, but even on food products. Yeah. Then you ask yourself, what do Nigerians get as a way of subsidy from their government? So when they are coming out to tell us, oh, we are paying subsidy, if you are saying for a subsidy, publish it and let's see. They are making so much money. Nobody's doing all this they are talking about is increasing electricity tariff or cost. Nobody is talking about improving the system. Try to upgrade. How do we get ourselves out of 4,000 megawatts, between 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts that we're juggling between for the past 20 years? Nobody is mentioning how to be able to upgrade. All the promises made to Nigerians that were in 2015 by this current APC government, then they do their campaign, and when President Muhammad Buhari came into office, and he promised Nigerians that on a yearly basis, that they're going to inject 10,000 megawatts into the national grid. If he injected 10,000 megawatts into the national grid, within the 8 years he was in office, we would have been talking about 80,000 megawatts now. Yeah. Put that with another two, let's say also 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is another 20. They will be hitting about close to about 100 megawatts of power by now, based on the promises that the APC made in 2020. This is very fair. You can verify.
Yes, but in a recent conference that they had outside here, Dar es Salaam, I think that was where the meeting was. The government has said that they have opened the electricity sector for private investors to come in, and that they are expecting $32 billion, I think, and half of that will be funded by private investors, and the others will come from public funds, which will include World Bank and so many other agencies, World Bank, the IMF and all that will fund electricity, so there will be improvement. Don't you have any faith that that might pay off?
Let me also ask you, the agreement that we signed with Cement, where is it? Are you not aware of that? You've forgotten that the former chief of staff to former president died in the process of that. He went to Germany and to sign up on that agreement, Abakari. And it was in the course of that during the time of COVID, they came back, contracted COVID and died. Siemens is one of the biggest electricity company in the world. Ask yourself, why is it that agreement that Nigeria tried to reach with Siemens is not being implemented? If we have done that, we would have known where we are today. Let me tell you, at the end of it all, it's corruption. No company will come to invest in a country where you think that your ROI will not be able to get your ROI. And you see that the system is completely corrupt. And that is the problem within the star sector. Go and check what is happening. Presently, we have at least about two former ministers. There were ministers of power that currently being prosecuted for act of financial fraud. Allegedly, Agundoye and the other man. So it is a holistic, but we have the political will to do the needful. Nobody will come and put his money in the power sector in Nigeria because it is only it's a beacon of corruption. Let's take it further. There was a probe that was instituted, of which Ndudelumelu headed in the House of Representatives, where there was so much money that was allegedly that was supposed to spend in the sector. We are diverted and we are stolen. And that committee was set up to look into that. Where is the report of that committee? That is, if ever submit the submit that report. So it goes beyond just, say investors will come and they'll come and invest 30 billion, they'll come and spend anything. At the end of it, on the bottom line is that we must make sure that we put the necessary infrastructure in place to make it very good. Part of the infrastructure that the government are telling us, we continue to increase electricity so that we make it attractive. For goodness sake, it has been increased to close to 1,000% in the last 5, 6, 7 years. What has happened? I personally feel that we don't need to wait. Yes, in as much as we are truly, okay, let us even take further. Where the current disco, was it not onboarded? It used to be NEPA. It was onboarded and 12 to 30 individuals. Those that the disco we are told to presently now finding it very difficult to be able to hold on to. In fact, most of the banks that gave them that money have practically taken over most of the disco from them. So it is the ultimate able to deal with the big elephant in the house, which is the corruption within the system, of which the government have a larger blame on it. Then we cannot be able to get over. So if they lie, let them continue to say that subsidized, which I totally disagree with. I don't believe I need to do something. If they say they are protected, let them publish and let Nigerians. But taking it further, the issue of this bandit or no bandit or whatever we call it is discriminatory because every Nigerian, irrespective of wherever you find yourself, is entitled to have electricity.
True.
So try to carry that, certain people must have 20 hours. In fact, the minister came out 2 days ago and said that, in fact, because of the sources recorded, that was quoting now that more people should be added to the band-aid, and you ask yourself, how many of them, even those that are band-aid, are they enjoying the number of hours they're supposed to be? Is it not Palan that just called on electricity a few days ago that they should publish their reports showing that the number of hours that they promised Nigerians on the band-aid, within the band-aid, have been met? Till now, the electricity have not replied.
Well, they said it's for the rich people, so You just have to fall in line.
Then
No way you belong
why did they
to.
put you on? I know you're on band. No, if for the registration, why did
I'm
they put you
sorry?
on band A? Are you
Ikeja Electricity provides electricity, not pens. They don't have pen to write, so don't worry about that, Chris.
But they have computers. They have computers.
They have devices.
Maybe no light to even power the computers.
My goodness.
Go to their offices. They power the offices with generators. Though. The one near where I go here. When I go there, generator they use.
How sad. Imagine an electricity company powering with generators.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to The Guardian. Now, The Guardian leads with trade war. Nigeria braces for impact as U.S. tariffs signal fresh inflation concern. So, of course, there's a brewing tariff with the U.S., Canada, China, and Mexico, and Nigeria might just be part, because we're one of the 48 countries with the deficit, and we have that deficit with the U.S., and in Trump's campaign, he had even promised to close up the deficit. What do you think would happen? Because a lot of times we rely on the dollar, we buy most of our things from the U.S., even though we still do trade with China, but if this happens, what are Nigerians going to see in the next coming months?
First and foremost, looking at it from the perspective of Donald Trump, I will tell you that Africa is the least problem to Donald Trump. Because when you look at the volume of trade between Africa and the United States, it is highly in favor of the United States of America. You come to look at, when you talk of trade deficit, it's trade deficit to country. The trade deficit to Nigeria is to US is in the deficit. It is minute. The lowest level. Yes. So they are the ones gaining. It's not America. It has nothing to do with America. So Africa is the least of the problem as far as I'm concerned. Now, but let's take it further. I'd rather be stick with what. Did you see that video that was released by the former Kenyan president, Kenyatta, recently? You didn't watch it? 2 minutes. 2 minutes video where he was talking at the Congress of African Leaders and said that, oh, you are shouting, oh, what America is, America did that. He said that this should be a wake-up call for African countries to look inward and see what they can do for themselves and try to be economically viable without necessarily depending on America or any other foreign country. Because when it comes to issues like this, then you're on your own. So I think I really stand on that. It is that time we start looking at most of the African countries. I'm not saying that Nigeria only now because I'm grouping Africa together as a block. Look at it. There have been so many attempts. At the point we say we're going to have a common currency for Africa. Did that come to fruition? We'll be talking about the ECOWAS, the sub-region of West Africa, and the common currency for West Africa. Where we are talking about that, 3 West African countries have decided to leave ECOWAS. So, what are we talking about? The only product, to a large extent, that I think that we export to US is our crude. But do we even meet our OPEC quota? Do we have enough? Is it not when we have enough to feed Dangote and the NLC and the various refineries in Nigeria that we have enough? Recently, Dangote said that it's going to import crude oil from the United States all over again because we cannot be able to source those crude oil from Nigeria again. So what are we exporting? Crayfish, fish, meat, or what? That is not even enough for Nigerians. How much is the yam? Can Nigerians even afford to buy yam and the necessary food items now? We are talking of serious food shortage in Nigeria, where Nigerians are finding it difficult to be able to even make ends meet. So, if we're looking on the broader base, I personally just think that we should look inward, see how we can be able to help ourselves. Our government should be able to invest very much in the agriculture. Every day I come in, I talk about agriculture. I talk about agriculture and I talk about agriculture because that we have the capacity to be self-reliant in food production. All the areas of land are green all over Nigeria. Once you drop something there, it will germinate, it will grow. And I continue to use so many examples. Even several times I use my brother's state as an example, where we have the capacity to grow rice. In any part of this country, we have capacity to grow yam, we have capacity to grow cassava, and the rest of that, and even have enough to export. But is the government investing? Go and look at the budget and see how much was provided for agriculture this year. All we are doing is just investing and wasting money on security. Oh, you see that the security take the largest chunk of our budget in the past close to about 8-10 years. Before a serious country won't be delving into that. We deal with this issue of security, as quickly as we want to do it. Those money that are spending so much to this sector, we can channel it into other areas that will benefit Nigeria. Nigerians practically don't talk any of that. Before used to be, one good road, we want education, we want health, and all that Nigerians are talking now and struggling now is how to eat. The other aspect of life, nobody's even talking about housing. Nobody's talking about housing. Now we don't talk about electricity. We talk about petroleum and products and the rest of them. But Nigerians are more concerned now with what to eat rather than other necessities of life, which to me is a no-brainer.
Well, experts fear a new wave of global inflation, weakening naira. But something that the CEO of the CPP had said was Nigeria can expand, deepen trade with other partners. And then the trade minister says we're open to new partners. I think at this point, this is where we need to look for other ways. If we will be impacted by this, we need to look for other means to ensure that we're still trading as well. All right, I'm going to take just one more story here, and it's on the Tribune, the Nigerian Tribune. It says FEC approves 4.2 trillion naira for major infrastructure projects across Nigeria. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway gets 1.1334 trillion naira. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway Phase 2 Section 1 allocated 195 billion naira. 159.5 billion infrastructure project approved for FEC, and that's also on this day newspaper that says federal government approves 4.2 trillion naira for Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, other major road projects nationwide. What is your take on this? This is a whole lot of money, right, that is being put into this infrastructure. But most times, because I think there was a report at some point that says there are lots of abandoned projects. We're not saying this is going to be abandoned anyway, but we put in so much money and we're still talking about roads. We're not thinking of other means of transportation. What is your take on the fact that our focus is on roads and we're not thinking of railway or any other thing that can benefit Nigerians at the moment? And we just have 90 seconds for this.
Those that really oppose the Lagos Calabar super highway situation. The reason being that we have so many roads that have been abandoned that have not fixed. Recently, I just came back from the east and I came by road for obvious reasons. I wanted to see the level of the roads across the country, and you see that even the Benin, Shagamu, Ijebu, Lagos Express, that express just 3 days ago, we saw about 30 people were burned to death on or as is. If you look at what's it now? This particular road in Niger Delta but what is it? I can't remember the name now. There's this particular road within the Niger Delta that has been abandoned for years. For years. That road is so terrible. That road coming from Warri heading to Port Harcourt and the rest of them. That particular that road. Why are we spending so much money to build new ones when we have so many roads that we need to fix? And I totally agree with you on the other one, the issue of railway and other means of transportation. So I hope that this morning, look at how much the Lagos Calabar super highway is going to cost per kilometer. Now we're also talking about another one. I think it's from Sokoto to Lagos or wherever it is. Let us first of all make sure that we fix up most of our roads. We've done a good job, and I have to give it to the Buhari government. He did a good job on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway used to take about 2 and 3 hours before if you are heading to work from Lagos to Ibadan. Now, sometime ago, just about a month ago, I made that show. I drove on that road. Within 55 minutes, I was in Ibadan, and the same thing back. That section of the road is practically okay now. But what of the other ones that still remain there? If you move from Ore to Ijebu, that road is in a terrible state now than this is a serious repair. So those are the ones for me. So let's see how it goes and see how we're going to manage all this. But for me, my own concern is that we should be able to make sure that most of these abandoned projects are properly dealt with instead of just delivering into new ones. That's my personal opinion.
All right, thank you so much for that. We hope that the federal government will definitely look into this, managing our roads. Maintenance is, the maintenance culture in Nigeria is something that we have a challenge with, and I hope that they start to look into it and have, other means of transportations for Nigerians. Anyways, Chris, we want to say thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure having you on our program. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, I should think that when you talk of roads, let us look at how much is being voted for FEMA. You remember there is an agency of government that is for FEMA.
Yeah.
They are supposed to be fixing the roads.
All
when
right.
you look at the budget, they are not practically giving them nothing. And you have a wonderful day.
Have a nice day, Chris.
Chris.
Have a nice day, Chris.
All right. We'll be speaking with Chris Kende Wando, is an editor of CKN News, and we've just been looking at the global stories that made it to the front pages of our national dailies this morning. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll be discussing our first hot topic that talks about, NUPRC threatens to deny export permits over supply violations. Please stay with us.